And we are live. Hi, I want to welcome everybody to today's edition of Webcasting with Microsoft. Today's broadcast will be on easy creation of rich Microsoft Teams templates for enterprise use. My name is Michael Giannotti, and I'll be your host today. We have some great presenters that are going to actually be presenting themselves in just a bit, but we have a few housekeeping items I'd like to go over for today's session before we begin. So let me pull up my little navigation there for PowerPoint. So first of all, today's event, it is brought to you by the Microsoft Healthcare and Life Sciences Group. You can always find us in our posts at aka.ms/HLSblog. That's aka.ms/HLSblog. We love to hear from you. We love your suggestions or questions, so please visit us. Additionally, as always, video being brought to you by Logitech Meetup and all the Logitech solutions. So I use a mix of the Meetup and others, as well as the Brio. The Logitech Meetup is a part of the Microsoft Teams solution for Teams rooms by Logitech. Check them out at logitech.com for all of their solutions for everything from a small huddle space or a PC like this to large auditorium style rooms. So before we start, a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, we encourage you to ask questions. We want this to be interactive. So ask. If you have a question, ask us. I'll be moderating, taking a look at those, queuing those up. Be aware that it is moderated Q&A, so your question won't show up as published, except to you until I go ahead and explicitly publish that. But you can go ahead, fire those off, and then we'll queue those up for our presenters as we go along, as well as Q&A at the end. Also, we love to know who you are and where you're watching from. We have typically on these sessions visitors from all over the planet. We love to hear from you. We love for you to tell us where you're joining from, be it, here in the US, what state, what city, or overseas. So let us know who you are, where you're from, so we can give you some shout outs. At the conclusion, I get asked this every time. At the conclusion of today's session, I will be taking the recording from today as well as some resources that we have from our presenters. I will post that as a on-demand post that you can share with your colleagues and friends and family, right? But it'll be available on our blog at, you guessed it, aka.ms/HLSblog. Again, that's aka.ms/HLSblog. Now, real quickly, how to engage us for Q&A. If you haven't seen it already, in the upper right-hand corner, there is a little dialog box with a question mark. If you're not seeing the dialog, although you should, you can simply click that to open it. Once it's open, you can go ahead and down below, you can, where it says name, you can place your name. You don't have to. You can post this as anonymous, and you can ask a question. But, again, post. We love to hear from you, so let's keep this interactive. That's enough of me. Again, we want to keep this. This is all about today's presentation. So I am going to turn it over to our first presenter, Beatrice, and I'm going to let her introduce her and her team. So we're going to send her to the live. And Beatrice, take it away. If you want to share your desktop.
Yes, so I'm sharing it. Can you just confirm that you're seeing it?
I am not seeing your shared desktop. Let me stop sharing mine.
All right, so 1 second.
Click the share. Yeah.
What about now?
And there it is. And so, yep, you are now live.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for joining in. Let me just start by quickly introducing myself. So I'm Beatriz. I am the CEO and founder of Bind Tuning, and I have with me Francisca Peixoto. She's our Customer and Partner Success Manager. And just to quickly get started, I would like just to introduce you briefly to Bind Tuning, to those of you that do not know us. So the Bind Tuning framework is an enterprise-level solution for building modern digital workplace solutions for SharePoint, Office 365, and Microsoft Teams. It greatly extends out-of-the-box SharePoint functionality and Teams functionality, providing incredible agility, levels of customization, ease of use when compared to in-a-box solutions. We have been in the market since about 2012, and during this time we have been transforming modern and digital workplace experiences for over 300,000 users all over the globe, and with companies from all sorts of industries. So let's take a quick look at our agenda for today. I will start by talking a little bit about the status of the modern workplace today and how collaboration workspaces are now becoming more conversational workspaces. I will also talk a little bit about how you can actually take way more from Microsoft Teams than just chat and meetings. And we will jump into a few demo cases. So Francisco will be showing you a lot of examples of how to use bind tuning in those scenarios. We will quickly jump also into introducing you to what's bringing you here today, which is Teams templates. And I will also make a quick demo of the automated deployment of these templates, and then we will jump over to Q&A. So before we get started, I'd like to talk a little bit about the modern workplace scenario, but from a different perspective than probably what you're used to. So what's happening with the collaboration tools that we know? It's quite hard to believe that collaboration tools have been around for more than 20 years now, but only relatively recently, companies around the globe have actually begun to rely on these tools to connect their distributed workforces. And although we have been collaborating digitally, the paradigm on these tools has actually changed. And why? The digital transformation journey is evolving, and it's driven by four main factors. Number one, remote workers. So we now have a workforce that works from home. They need to get their work done anywhere, anytime, and from any device. We have a distributed workforce, meaning that we have lots of challenges to face, from language differences to users from outside the corporation that also have to have access to corporate documents, for example, or users connecting from any sort of device and from any location and needing to have access to business tools. At the same time, we have the evolution and the showing up of personal applications on our day-to-day use, meaning that employees, they want to be able to have the same level of experience and convenience that they feel when they use, for example, WhatsApp or when they use Messenger, and they want to have the same level of experience when connecting to their coworkers. On the other hand, it's quite proven that when given with the right tools, employees actually are way more productive, from 20 to 30%. And all these factors are driving the demand for a very different type of modern digital workplace, not just a collaboration workspace, as we have been discussing in past years, but a conversational one. And this conversational one is actually Microsoft Teams. And what we typically see as sort of the architecture of Teams is, and the collaboration spaces on Microsoft 365 is this structure, this approach, where Teams is looked at as the perfect tool for chatting, meetings, and calls. But how do we actually make the most out of Teams? How can we provide users the ability to integrate features of their collaboration platform with enterprise applications? So how do we really make out of Teams more than just chats and meetings? So this is what we are going to show you, and we would like to present you to the bind tuning offering for Teams. It's actually a very extensive offering. It's a powerful no-code solution. We're talking about a set of 19 applications for Teams. They're fully customizable, and they give users the control to create contextual spaces to solve any number of business scenarios. They also allow you to maximize productivity because they bring content into focus, creating a less disruptive experience for your team. So users can actually focus on not navigating away from what they're doing and keeping themselves in the same context while doing their work. At the same time, we're talking about maximizing governance by the ability to actually create what we will see later during the presentation today, by creating starter kits, by creating templates and templated solutions that allow you for optimal control in terms of the governance of the deployment of these teams. And at the same time, we're kind of redefining collaboration. So leveraging the full power of Office 365 with native applications that maximize the use of features like artificial intelligence, Microsoft Graph, and limitless access to even third-party applications and external data sources. So bind-tuning apps are available as any other app. You can easily add them to your environment, and they will allow the creation of very, very engaging and integrated scenarios for both the experience for both Teams and Office 365, guaranteeing that users have this seamless experience. And with no further ado, I'll hand it over to Francisca so that we can see some use cases and business scenarios of the usage of bind-tuning applications in Microsoft Teams.
Thank you. Thanks, Beatrice. Can you all hear me and see my screen? Perfect. Okay, very good. So my goal for today and my suggestion is to show you and walk you through 2 Microsoft Teams scenarios that we've built to illustrate how bind tuning solutions can be used to create richer experiences across any kind of team and any kind of industry. So Contoso International is a multinational technology company. It's headquartered in New York City, and like any other IT company, it has customers and staff spread all over the world. On the other hand, Contoso Healthcare at Home is a special unit of nurses and aides who provide in-home care to patients and the elderly, who have been discharged from Contoso Healthcare Hospital based in Seattle, but need continuing care at home in the Bellevue area. Both of these companies are using Microsoft Teams and bind tuning solutions to increase the effectiveness of communicating with their coworkers, improving the productivity of their individual collaborators, structuring their governance process and best practices internally and with their outsourced teams. I'm going to refer to these teams during our demo, but I'll go back to both companies to remind you of their existence later. Very good. So this is Mary. Mary is a customer success lead of Contoso International, and she coordinates a large team of CSMs spread all around the world. In her role, she has a couple of goals. So she wants to create a strong corporate culture. She wants to stay up to date with industry trends. She really likes to promote team collaboration and real-time information sharing. Let me show you and walk you through what Mary usually does on her day-to-day. So Mary is a morning person. She gets up very early, she goes out for a run, and before heading to the office, she likes to connect with customers in different time zones that have been flagged by her team of CSMs as requiring special attention. Because she works in a fast-paced environment like the tech industry is, she needs to keep up to date with everything that's happening in the tech industry. So she likes to take a look at the news, at the stock market, And while she's drinking a cup of coffee, she likes to do that. She likes to see how the market is evolving. She likes to take a look at the latest updates on the industry. So with bind tuning apps for teams, Mary is able to do that inside the application that she uses to work. So let me show you how she does that.
We're still just seeing the slides. Oh, there we go.
There we go. So today, Mary is meeting a customer who's based in Paris. The World Clock bind tuning app allows Mary to have a pre-configured set of work time clocks. So she's based in New York and she has a work clock configured for New York. And then she has 2 other clocks configured for the time zone that she works the most with. Because today she's contacting a customer who's based in Paris, she's adding another clock, and then she's adding the location from that customer here. There we go. Voila. After setting the clock for the meeting time, she's ready to start while she's drinking her coffee, checking how the stocks are doing this morning. So she goes to the general channel in her Contoso International Management team to check how stocks are doing.
I hate to interrupt you. We got asked if can you enlarge that to make it larger, more the size of your slide?
Yeah.
They're having trouble seeing it.
Okay.
There we go. Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. So the stock sticker. In the stock sticker, Mary and her team, everyone in the top management is a big fan of this app. So it's placed in the general channel, and the same goes for the RSS feed. So the RSS feed was placed here because 2 weeks ago, a couple of Mary's team members have traveled to Orlando to attend Microsoft Ignite. And because the impact of the announcements was so big, and it could really change the way that Contoso International was doing business. The announcements, the things that were discussed at Ignite, they could really change the way that Contoso International was operating and the planning that was being done. So to follow up with all those announcements, the marketing communications team from Contoso International picked a couple of content sources from outside the ecosystem or the corporate environment of Contoso International, and they were added. So after identifying them here, they were added to this list, and all the content is being automatically pulled here. And in this case, sorry, and in this case, it's being opened right here inside Teams. So there's no need to go outside the environment of outside Microsoft Teams to keep updated. So Mary is easily kept up to date. Okay, let's go back to Mary and her day. Before meeting with any of her international customers, Mary always checks the home tab of her team. It was created by your marketing manager, Alex, because he really wants to make sure that the entire leadership team of Contoso International is always using the latest version of the resources. So marketing presentations, product presentations, slide decks, customer stories. And because that home section inside the leadership team in Teams was created by the marketing team, that's a way of ensuring that the resources are always kept up to date. Also, when Mary is meeting with customers, it's very common because she has this customer success role that she needs to make recommendations on trainings and resources. And inside Contoso International, there are tons of resources. So there needs to be a way of easily filtering those resources. Fine-tuning provides an easy way for Mary to do that. So, sorry. Go back here. There we go. So the Home tab, which was configured by Alex, has this beautiful and interactive and almost branded Home tab inside this general channel. It was built with an inspiring purpose, so the mission is clearly labeled here, and it uses the bind tuning tiles that are easily configured by someone like Alex from the marketing team. All bind tuning apps for Teams are configured with a similar interface that allows power users to pick, in this case, tile shape, but in all cases, configurations like colors, images, with visual aids, or with a visual, very clear help. In this case, the tiles can be configured with different types, so they can include plain text, links, documents, videos, Power BIs, so lots of different options to create this interactive layouts. If we now go to the filtering that I was just mentioned, so when Mary was meeting her French customer this morning, she needed to filter training sessions. Because it was a customer and not a partner, Mary can filter easily the training sessions and leave out the partner sessions or the partner calls. And basically what this bind tuning app is doing is transforming the content that was stored in a SharePoint list. It's transforming that content into this appealing tiles formats. There we go. Okay. Mary's ending her day, and she reserves her afternoons to meet with her team of customer success managers, as she likes to support them through the renewals, adoption training, and also she needs to report back on her work to her leadership team. This means that she often needs to check last year renewal quotes and to share documents with other teams, with Contoso International CFO, the accounting team. So let's take a look at how file sharing is done at Contoso International using Bind Tuning Documents app for Teams. So today, one of Mary's teammates has asked for her help getting a discount for the customer ABC demo who works in the healthcare industry in the US. So let's filter here for healthcare, and now US. Here it is, we have ABC demo. So Mary needs to discuss this with her CFO. So using Bind Tuning, the Documents app, she's able to preview the document, filter the customer first, preview the document, and now after discussing the new quote for in 2019, she's actually able to upload the new document directly in Teams. There we go. If you see here, the document library that I'm using, it's actually originally from the customer and partner success team. And that's because the customer team is the one that more regularly uses this document library. But this bind-tuning app allows for files and document libraries to be pulled from other sources like other teams and other SharePoint sites to be pulled into different contexts. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So this means that tomorrow morning, when the customer success manager that requested for Mary's help, when he goes to his own team here, down here, and it checks here, and it goes and looks for the customer. And let me show you actually here how we can add a filter. So let's say industry. I'm adding a filter here, industry. I think we can do with that one. So there we go. Healthcare. Here it is. 2019. Here it is, the proposal for 2019 that we've just added. So it's the same document library, just shown in different contexts. So if we go back to Mary's goals, as a team leader, her usage of Microsoft Teams and bind tuning is helping her promote a strong corporate culture that is truly customer-centric and capable of responding with agility to market trends and customer requests, but which also promotes work-life balance, promoting remote work with customers and colleagues smoother. Very good. So I don't know if there are any questions in the meantime before I move on.
Not at this time. We had one about the app, how they were making the site, the teams, but I just told them that that's going to be demonstrated later.
Okay, very good. So, do you remember Contoso Healthcare at Home from the beginning? The special unit of nurses and aides who accompanied patients from Contoso Healthcare Hospital who have been discharged and who still needed care. So, Susan is the primary nurse for Contoso Healthcare at Home. She leads a team of remote nurses and aides, and she and her teammates, they need to travel extensively across Bellevue metropolitan area because the Contoso Healthcare Hospital is located in Seattle. So to be successful, she needs to have easy access to her patient records. She needs to have a visual representation of where her patients are located to plan the routes accordingly. It's useful for her to check the weather in advance to be able to pack accordingly when the routes are longer. And she needs to to align with Contoso Healthcare hospital culture because she's still a part of that team. Susan has actually worked in Contoso Healthcare Hospital for 8 years, but then her family relocated to Maple Valley, and she was very excited at first because that would be an opportunity for her to spend more time with her family. She had more flexibility to arrange her routine around the needs of her young kids. But then after a while, she really started feeling that she was missing the lunch breaks because they were very good opportunities for her to learn from others. And she was starting to feel that she was part of no real team. So she was feeling a bit isolated. With the implementation of Microsoft Teams at both Contoso Healthcare and Contoso Healthcare at Home, she was able to regain that feeling of belonging, which was enhanced by bind-tuning solutions for teams that now allow her to keep aligned with the culture of Contoso Healthcare while still being part of Contoso Healthcare and doing her work as part of the Contoso Healthcare at Home team. So let's dive into Susan's weekly routine to be able to better understand how exactly she's using Microsoft Teams and bind-tuning solutions. So When Susan is not on duty, she usually likes to stay up to date with what's happening at Contoso Healthcare Hospital because, as I've said, Contoso Healthcare at Home is still part of Contoso Healthcare Hospital. And she has a friend, John, who still works at Contoso Healthcare Hospital, and he's responsible of PR and comms at the main hospital, and he talks a lot about culture and values. And because he's responsible for the communications and PR, he's the one using bind tuning apps for teams, and he has been updating a lot of content that until now was mostly stored in SharePoint, and he is now bringing all of that inside Teams, and he feels that his work is now being suddenly more valued and recognized by his peers because it's being seen where people are actually spending their day. So Susan started to check Contoso Healthcare Hospital team more often. Let's take a look at how she does it. So this is the main team of Contoso Healthcare Hospital. We'll take a look at this one in a second. So Contoso Healthcare Hospital, and John in particular, keeps this message from the board slider updated. And actually, in this case, he's updating this with corporate videos, but the bind tuning slider can be used to show images or plain text. It's very easy to configure, so it can be used for lots of dynamic content. Susan also takes a look at the alerts, because until bind tuning alerts were implemented, Susan used to take a look at the messages spread through conversations here. But then it was very often very common for her to miss bits and pieces of the conversations because things tend to get lost between the chatting. So now all the teams that have something really important to say, they add the alerts here, and content is shown in different colors to highlight different alert levels. So that's a way to grab people's attention. And finally, Susan takes a look at the Contoso Healthcare news that our friend John is updating in SharePoint, and that is being immediately added to the teams here. Again, people are reading them more often and keeping more engaged because it's exactly the same place where they go for their training, for their alerts, for their conversations. When Susan is planning her month of work, she leverages the other teams, so Contoso Healthcare at Home. This week is Thanksgiving, which means there is a special food delivery being planned. And delivering meals is very rewarding, but meals need to be hot, routes need to be planned to save gas and time, and when they're traveling far, nurses and aides need to pack accordingly. And they need to consider if there's going to be rain or if there's going to be really hot. So when they were building and thinking their experience around teams, Contoso Healthcare at Home needed to build a team that had the features that addressed all these needs and purposes. So let's take a look at how this was done. Oh, there we go. So Mark from the outreach team has just called Susan, letting her know that the menus for Thanksgiving had been added to the main team's page. There you go. Here they are. As you can see, and this is exactly the same Tiles app that we've seen several times before. It just has a different configuration. So Mark called Susan and he tells her that she should double check that the orders that have been allocated to this weekly meal planning are matching the patient records, and that no patient that has a food allergy has a wrong order assigned, or in other words, that all patients with food allergies got a special order assigned. So using Bind Tuning Filters app, Susan is able to filter her patient records. And following Mark's request, she's actually able to add an extra filtering. So let me show you how she can do it. There we go. We're filtering for city and birthday, but we can add allergy reactions. There we go. So it looks like only Amelia has food allergies. And we can click on her tile and open her patient record to see exactly to which she is allergic. It looks like it's peanuts. And as you can see, and let me open what is here. So as I've explained you before, when we were seeing the other scenario, the more corporate scenario, the trainings, this is exactly the same app in a different context. So this is the list of patients that is being shown in these tile formats. So all the customers being added to this list will show to the list here, will show as a tile here. So we have the capability of transforming information in these beautiful tile formats and the capability of filtering in a very, very easy and convenient way. So, sorry, oh, something happened. There we go. To be efficient when she's planning her routes, Susan verifies the patient addresses. And that's because she needs to save gas, time, and she needs to take care of her teams and her patients as well. So this map provides a visual representation of where her patients are located and also of their houses for making new team members life easier, so they can easily recognize where their patients are currently living. So, for example, if we check Amelie here, we can see that she's living in Bellevue and that she has a house that is as gorgeous as she is. And it's a helpful tool for the route planning. In the Contoso Healthcare Hospital, it was showing the different centers. So again, it's a very flexible tool for in both scenarios. As an added precaution, Susan and her team always check the local weather using the tiles weather. And in this case, we're using the same bind tuning application that was showcased to build the interface from the beginning, but now with a different configuration to show current weather and for weather forecast. If there's an urgent request from a non-registered patient, Susan and her team can always use the My Weather app that allows the change location feature. So if Susan has a patient in Auburn, sorry, there we go. The Teams app will update the weather accordingly. At the end of every month, Contoso Healthcare and Home hosts a Teams meeting with remote team leaders, including Susan. They reflect on best practices, lessons learned, and at the end, Susan is in charge of uploading information into a centralized place in Teams. And for that, Susan uses Bind Tuning Accordion app. I'll show you how that looks. There you go, best practices and FAQ. So again, very easy to configure. She does that herself while our kids are doing their homework. So with the implementation of Microsoft Teams and bind-tuning apps at both Contoso Health and Contoso Healthcare at Home, Susan has easy access to the tools, best practices, and news from Contoso Healthcare Hospital, while keeping at the same time her own team at Contoso Healthcare at Home organized, engaged, and focused on what matters the most at the end of her day, her patients and their families. Off to you, Beatrice.
All right, so let me share my screen. Please let me know if you see it. Not yet.
Yep, it's up.
Yeah, okay, good. So before we proceed, and since there was a question on how we actually build the scenarios, let me go back a couple slides just to remind you that everything that we have seen is built with bind-tuning apps. So currently bind-tuning has 19 apps available for Microsoft Teams. These are all the ones that you see here in blue. And what you have seen is different configurations of these apps to actually build and comply to different requirements. The same application has been shown over and over and over in different scenarios and complying to different needs. And what we have been seeing is the flexibility of these applications. All right, moving on. So what is actually the fastest way to having a working team? The truth is that it's templates. So we actually call them also starter kits. And we are now bringing into Microsoft Teams our long experience in templating from Office 365. We have been doing this for a couple of years now. We have been crafting experiences vertically by industry, and bind-tuning starter kits are really ready to launch packaged scenarios. And in a few clicks, you actually got a repeatable scenario ready to use over and over again. So these are actually carefully crafted, very industry-specific scenarios. They comply to each specific industry requirements, to each industry needs, and to very specific scenarios. They typically include different elements. For Teams, they include multiple channels, they include preset tabs, applications, and in some cases, even content. And everything is added and pre-configured, so meaning that we actually did all the heavy lifting for you and thinking about these scenarios for specific business needs. Those are repeatable scenarios. So this means that you get easy deployments of these standard scenarios and also of industry best practices. And this is something very important, being able to repeat best practices. And this ensures a unified user experience across multiple teams. They can all be deployed in, you'll see, seconds, not minutes. And this means that it's very easy to scale up the deployment of repeatable scenarios from one to an endless number of teams. And the best of all is that all these deployments are fully automated. And we have developed a 100% visual interface, so meaning that there is no code involved, no need for accessing or copying PowerShell commands or developing your own PowerShell commands, and everything is really deployed in seconds. So let's go and jump to showing you the deployment of a template. And let me just go back here to my teams. I want to quickly show you the teams that I have deployed at this point. And here, what I have is the new bind-tuning Azure application. So this application in the configuration that you see right now will only be available next week. We have a launch date set for November 25th. We're very, very excited to get this out. And this involves the experience of all the bind-tuning products. Here, what you see is related more to Office 365. So the templates, the themes that we have for actually branding Office 365 experiences. Here, we have access to the list of web parts. And here is actually where the process of deploying those applications to Teams starts. And then the templates. And in this deploy area, you can see the list of templates that we currently have available. So this is a mixed list, Office 365 plus Teams templates. And you can see that we have very, very focused industry-specific templates. What I'll do now is I will filter these to show only the Microsoft Teams template. And I want you to take a quick look at the teams that I have. So let's go to the bottom of all the teams. And I think I'm going to deploy one of these store templates. Let's think that I'm the owner of a chain of stores, and I want to deploy a team for one of my stores that is just opening up. So it's as easy as coming to the list of templates, and I'm gonna say, okay, I want to deploy this template. I will enter, since I am a tenant admin, I have permissions to do this deployment. So I will enter my Office 365 credentials. I will name this team. So new store. And I could also add a description and set the team as private or public. And I will just start the deployment, confirm. I don't have to enter my password since I have already gave consent to the application within BindTuning. And if I open up this panel, I will see that the deployment has started. And if you take a look at Teams, you will see that new store has just been added and that I already have channels added as well. So this is a very, very simple template. It only has 3 channels, but we could have very complex templates being added with multiple channels, multiple tabs, different applications and content, as I mentioned. Let me refer that the templates that you see here for Microsoft Teams, these are the ones that will be launched next week alongside with a new version of the BindTuning application. And these initial templates, the first ones to be available are templates that were created based on what Microsoft makes available for industry scenarios. So we're starting with some very, very simple templates, but you will see this list growing to bring all the goodness of what you have seen from Francisca's presentation. And we are now actually in the process of transforming all these experiences into Teams templates. So let me go back to presentation. Note that not only you will be able to deploy these kind of preset templates with BindTuning, but also we have the ability to create custom templates depending on your own scenarios. So these custom templates can be really anything. Let's say that you have the need to define what's a department template and deploy it over and over again, to define what's a project management template, what's an events management template, manage, for example, contracts, local offices, teams, and so on and so on. These can include structure, content, and also user targeting. So there's a lot that we can add in the deployment of these templates. And we can also even define the workflow that is created to deploy the template, meaning that if there is any kind of approval process that has to be integrated in the template, we can do it as well. So what we're really happy to bring onto you is an improved governance. This is not a true governance tool, but it actually brings additional governance possibilities, and we're actually really excited to have the solution available. Let me tell you that you can start right now with some options. Tuning has already 2 solutions published on AppSource and on the OCP catalog. So the first one is the Tuning Teams collaboration space. You can take advantage of our expertise in building collaborative environments by deploying this scenario. It accelerates Teams adoption, and it seamlessly integrates applications, adding a lot of functionality to what you get out of the box. The other space is the Teams collaboration space for education. And in this one, we have our expertise in the education's industry already embedded into the template. As I said, what you just saw as the initial set of templates that we will make available, these templates are right now available sort of as PowerShell scripts by Microsoft. And I can quickly show you that this link is exactly this page. And Microsoft actually crafted a few basic experiences for healthcare, education, retail, and government. And these are the ones that we are making available right now at Tuning. So you will have the possibility, as you have just seen, to deploy these scenarios in seconds. And the following step for us is actually making available those very, very interesting scenarios that we have with rich interfaces using Tuning applications. If you wanna request a meeting with us, and if you wanna keep the conversation going, we would really, really love to. We are completely available to hear it from you, to understand a little bit more of your specific requirements for Teams and how the Tuning solution can address those requirements, and how with all these templating solutions we can actually help you leverage, scale, and grow your business. So feel free to just take a picture of this QR code. This will lead you to a small bot that will help you actually get that demo set up or get a meeting schedule with the Tuning team. You also have the link to get started with the Tuning account, so tuning.com/get started. This will actually get you started in the application. In a week, you will have the application that you have just seen, or you can email us directly at info@tuning.com. And Michael, we're, I think, available for any questions that you guys may have.
Yeah, so if there's any questions, right now I'm not seeing any in the in the chat and Q&A panel. I guess a couple of questions just to tee up again. You mentioned how folks can contact you, and that the solution will be available next week as well. And so if folks are looking to create their own custom templates, this solution is going to provide that for them, correct?
Custom templates require the involvement of the Tuning team at this point. Yep. So basically, what we do is we meet with each customer. We understand their deployment requirements and the scenarios that they are trying to deploy in a scalable basis. And right now, the template is created on the Tuning site and made available within the Tuning application, so that then it can be automatically deployed by the customers themselves.
So really, it's a matter of them working with you, putting
Correct.
together what that template's going to look like, and then you'll make it available through the app so that they can deploy that.
Exactly, that is it.
Awesome. I see. Let's see. We've got it's a lot to take in. But they're asking, do they have to use PowerShell to upload the templates?
No, you don't. So as I said, all that heavy lifting is on us. Basically, the only thing you have to do is exactly what I did. You select a template from the list, you click one-click install, enter your Office 365 credentials, name the team, and that's it. You click a button and it takes a few seconds and you have an entire team deployed with everything that has been defined. So in that case, we were talking about very, very simple teams. So they deploy channels. In a few cases, they deploy a few tabs. But what we will make available as Tuning templates beyond these Microsoft experiences, we will have templates that include the bind tuning applications, and those are very extensive scenarios. Those are predefined scenarios by the bind tuning team. If you have your own scenarios with your own requirements, your own team's structure, being whatever channels you define, whatever tabs you define, whatever applications you need to embed, either them being bind tuning applications or third-party applications, it really doesn't matter. We're able to convert that into a template and make it available so that in one click you can actually get that deployed.
And the next question, you've already kind of answered it, but just to tee it up, somebody followed up and said again, can we create our own templates for teams? And it's a matter of them working with you to create those templates, correct?
At this point, yes. We are preparing exciting news for next year, but I don't want to jump into that right away.
So yeah, so they'll be able to, to go to the, again, back to that question from the person, you'll be able to work with them with bind tuning today, and they will then make that, they'll help you to put together everything around that, including your own apps, third-party apps in that template, potentially content, and then they will make it available through the app to you for you to be able to deploy.
That's right.
All right, and I am not seeing any other questions. If one comes up while we close off, I'll alert. But I just want to thank you for coming on today and for showing the solution. I think if we have customers, and certainly we do. I met with one just on Friday who I know was in attendance today. That they're looking at this idea around how can we have templated solutions that we can easily deploy that actually have the content, not just placeholders, but applications, content, and then be able to have that be replicable. And once, I guess this is a follow-up, once you've helped them, once you've worked with them to create the template, then they can just instantiate it as many times as they need, correct?
Yes, correct. So endless times.
Yeah, so once it's it's showing up in the tool, it'll just be able to, you can crank it out. This is a great solution to take a look at. I would encourage you to take a look this afternoon. We will have the links for resources, etc. I got to thank you very much for the demo from Claire. So thank you for being here today, Claire. And I think that's it for today.
Thank you, guys.
Anything last you want to say?
No, it was a pleasure. So hope to see you all in the bind tuning website.
All right, so thank you very much, both to Beatriz and Francesca. And till next time, we'll have a new announcement around our next webcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Have a great day, great rest of the week. Take care, and as always, ciao.